Yes, I was there, and what a thrill to be in Columbus for an MLS Cup. As you could see, had all the atmosphere and the regalia and pageantry that you could possibly hope for. Two teams that were really worthy finalists, two teams that have shown their success well beyond this final. So you could get excited about them, play tremendous football. And there we were. And, I'm here to kind of recap MLS Cup Final, but more importantly, spin ahead to see what we have on the horizon in Major League Soccer. It is a league with its flaws, I know. It is a league that does things in a pedantic manner in many ways. We've looked back at the history of that, and I think they have been vindicated about the way they do business, because this was a league that was hanging over the precipice. This is a league that had to contract. This is a league that had two owners at one point, or three owners, and now it has 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 owners when you consider the multiple owners for each club. And there's ambition there. Because look, I covered this league almost from the beginning, and there was some moments where you're like, it ain't going to make it. And it is going to make it. And this was a huge year, for three big reasons, which we will indulge here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast, where all podcasts are available. We'll have a new one out this week. We have one with Alejandro Figueredo and Jaime Macias breaking down the Copa America Fields tournament, which will apply to MLS next year. And we'll just have you covered. The podcast has been great. Appreciate you guys all supporting that. Like and subscribe us here on YouTube under my name, Max Bretos. Videos will be coming out more and more regularly because there's too much to talk about, to be perfectly honest. So we look at MLS, and there's, I just finished hearing Don Garber's address, the state of the league, and it's very positive. But first of all, let's start with this season. And we talked about the three main things that happened, right? The Apple TV deal, Leagues Cup, a relationship with Liga MX, and then the addition of Lionel Messi. And all three of those things are very avant-garde and forward-thinking. Everyone obviously would love to add Messi. Major League Soccer, many thought they couldn't do it. They did it, and they did it in a creative way with really smart people, with putting Messi in a situation for an offer that he couldn't say no. Everyone else went to Saudi Arabia. Messi went to MLS. So that was pretty breathtaking when you think of it. Apple TV deal. And look, I work for MLS and Apple TV. I'm a broadcaster there. I absolutely love it, calling games every week. But you are aware of some limitations, not being on linear TV. So many people complained about being on linear TV, and now they're off of it, and they're going, why don't we get back on linear TV? Well, linear TV didn't do much for MLS. So within this Apple TV deal, even though it's a process, and there's going to be a lot of speed bumps, and it's a huge undertaking because Major League Soccer is the biggest league in the world, 29 teams, soon to be 30 teams. And that's a lot of games on a weekly basis. So it's challenging. We don't have the personnel to produce soccer probably like other countries, like in the United Kingdom, or it may be Germany, who knows, or places like Brazil or Argentina, where it is king. Soccer's still growing there. But Apple TV is something that no one else around the world is doing. So we got to give credit to Major League Soccer, because Apple TV is something that every sport would like to have. Now, the NFL can't have one partner where they're streaming their games all over the world. It's the NFL, and the rights fees are through the roof. MLS is a league that could do this. But I can assure you that every league, every conference, every sport would love to have a partner where everywhere around the world this sport can be watched. So MLS is doing it, and more leagues will eventually start doing it. Leagues Cup is a breakthrough tournament, in-season tournament. No other soccer league's doing it, where you get two leagues. You benefit from the Mexican League, which has so much clout and equity here in the United States and abroad. And you're seeing people imitate that already, because Leagues Cup was done many years prior on a smaller level, but now it's complete. It's a huge, MLS really bit off a big piece of the pie here. And they pulled it off. And look, it was hard, but they pulled it off. And there's a lot of improvement for Apple and the Messi situation and where Messi gets to play and how does this league get better after Messi. We haven't really addressed that. But certainly with Leagues Cup, you're seeing it in the NBA. They have an in-season tournament. I promise you other leagues would be looking into that. Maybe England wants to do something like that with Spain. Maybe Brazil wants to do that with Argentina and shed the trimmings that other tournaments might have. MLS is definitely ahead of the curve with all of that. And that is a very positive spin. They're not imitating other people. Some of this they're doing by necessity, but they're being very original. And they deserve credit for that. So in 2023, we saw that, Messi is amazing. We saw him start to break down a little bit where we didn't get the full effect, but we still got the Leagues Cup, and it illuminated that tournament. And Messi's going to be back, and he's going to have a lot of friends. Miami's going to have a new facility and a stadium, and they've already sold out all their season tickets. It is, I'm in LA in Redondo Beach. I saw a Messi shirt today. It is huge. It's a huge situation. So all those things are positive. MLS has to expand its vision to make sure that they can get the most out of it and keep that momentum going. And as Don Garber said in his State of the League, within that parameter of, he kept mentioning 2027. So it's 2026 for the World Cup. And what does 2027 look like after the World Cup? Do you still have the interest? Do you see the growth? That will be key. 2027, we don't see that. We may give soccer, soccer will be what it is in this country. I believe it's going to continue to break through. But that World Cup has to deliver, and Major League Soccer has to play a big part. Let's get to this season. Incredible stories, culminating in the final. Columbus Crew, a worthy champion. I traveled there with LAFC. Look, LAFC, as an employee there, they hired a charter, and all the staff, family, friends, fans were on it, there and back. I mean, that never happens. And I walked the streets of Columbus. I know Columbus isn't New York or Los Angeles, but everywhere you went, you felt the MLS Cup. You saw fans yipping and yapping at each other. It felt, look, I've seen a lot of big sporting events. It felt like an FA Cup semi or final, and you're in London to see it. That's what it felt like. Fans on the street from both clubs enjoying it, home and away. So you then had this incredible new stadium in Lower.com Field, packed. I've been to a lot of sporting venues and events, and this is right up there for any sport. It was electric. And I've been to many MLS Cup finals, and slowly but slowly it's gotten better. This is probably the best one, not just because of what Columbus, but what LAFC have been able to do. So you had an incredible final. And Columbus, I was asked by a lot of LAFC people, they go, what are we going to do? We're going to win it? And I kept quiet. I kept saying it's going to be 2-2 going to extra time, because deep in my heart, I knew Columbus was going to win. So the reason being is it was so perfectly set for them. They didn't win on the road all year, so then they go to Orlando, the second seed in the East, and beat them pretty convincingly. Then they beat the number 1 seed in a rivalry game, FC Cincinnati, and although they had to come from behind to win it 3-2, they were pretty convincing in that game. So they win 2 away games to set up the home fixture in the final. They were always going to take advantage of it, and man, did they play beautiful soccer. They just throw numbers up, and they scored the goals. The first half, they were overwhelming, and they finished the job. Wilfred Nancy getting some publicity as the first black coach. I never for a moment thought about it. I thought we had that done, but history is important for that. There will be others. I imagine Nancy opens the door, but I don't think MLS is a league that is behind other American sports leagues with giving minorities an opportunity, whether it is black candidates or Hispanic candidates, maybe female candidates here before too long. I think they're doing a good job with that, much better than other leagues. Wilfred Nancy is a huge success story. Came here to MLS, worked hard with Montreal, made all the steps. Now he is this huge coaching property. He is going to be hugely in demand. Columbus went out of their way to get him. They said he was the piece they needed. Tim Bezpachenko, we have amazing executives like John Thorrington, went out and got Wilfred Nancy, and they were able to do it, and the rest is history. Deserved champion. Columbus are an elite club with 3 trophies, 2 in the last 4 years. LAFC will be back, LAFC is one of many clubs that we look forward to the offseason, which is going to be sensational. They never stand pat. Expect some big names to make the breakthrough. They played 53 games, which was a record in the league. We never thought we'd reach that number. We always looked at Brazil, where they play 70 games at some point. We're creeping up to that. Is that too many games? Probably, and certainly in the business of MLS, it is too many. But they have done a tremendous job with that, and they made a final after all was said and done. They played in 3 finals, technically 4 if you include the Western Conference Final. We'll find out about Carlos Vela and Giorgio Chiellini. But, there's all sorts of things happening around LAFC, and players want to come there. And it is going to always be an elite team. And they will not play 50 games next year. They're not involved in any international competition other than the Leagues Cup. So, there you have one team that's going to do well. There's going to be a lot of clubs like Orlando and Seattle that need some tinkering, Philadelphia, and they'll look to make those pieces so that they can compete to be the champion in 2024. You have many clubs that bottomed out, Toronto FC and the LA Galaxy, that have to make adjustments so that they can be competitive. Everyone in MLS, every owner knows that they can't sit on their hands and just settle for being at the bottom. Colorado Rapids got a new coach, Chris Armas, and now we're hearing reports that Zach Steffen's coming there. Whether they get him or not, it shows that they know they have to be proactive. That's going to happen all through the league. We saw so many bottom teams be active this season to show that they could improve. That will continue. So from top to bottom, the league's going to be good. This offseason is going to be the biggest in MLS history for those reasons I've just told you. We've already heard names like Emil Forsberg going to New York Red Bulls, Luis Suarez going to Inter Miami. There was a rumor that Pedro de la Vega was coming to the Seattle Sounders. I heard from some sources down in South America that was coming. That was probably pretty legit. I've heard many other big names. We've heard Robert Lewandowski, Antoine Griezmann at some point, Memo Ochoa. Some of these guys will come. Pedro de la Vega got injured, but he was one of the top South American prospects, much like Thiago Almada. So MLS teams are still going that direction. And they've been successful in the past. They will be successful again. Stadiums have been huge. We saw the St. Louis Stadium and what difference it made. The Columbus Stadium, the Cincinnati Stadium, obviously LAFC Stadium. Some of the original ones still hold up well. The talk about New York, they're going to hopefully get a stadium here. They're pretty close, the process. Don Garber was asked about the New England Revolution. You have to think that stadium, whether it'll be in Boston, is on the horizon because they can't afford to be left behind. All of this is slow growth, but in lots of ways it's been very fast for MLS, which is a league we always want to compare to the top leagues. Is it going to be one of the top leagues? Well, it's not. Part of it's only 27 years old, but part of it is they know that they can't fast track this because that will lead to failure. They have the model of NASL that they can't repeat. So there is a lot there on behalf of Major League Soccer to be careful of. They have a league full of parity. By the way, I would like to say this. They want all the teams to be competitive, and MLS gets a lot of grief for that. But have you looked around sports? Parity's everywhere. There are no super teams. NFL, complete and utter parity. NBA, parity. The Premier League, look at Aston Villa, look at Newcastle, parity. Newcastle last year. La Liga, I forgot the name of the team from Catalonia who are in first. It's not Granada, it's, never mind. But Barcelona and Real Madrid have a lot of company. Same with the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich are no longer at first. There's like 4 teams on the top line. So parity is everywhere. So MLS does not have to apologize for that because that is the nature of sports that we are going to get. Will MLS help these teams? Don Garber said there will not be a 4th DP. I'm okay with that, but he promised there will be some big news coming on that could shake things up. Maybe a salary cap extension. Maybe there is more money available to these teams. I think the league knows they have to do that. So expect something to be reported of that nature, which will help the clubs ahead. And that, 2024 has to be huge. And the Apple TV has to show that improvement in many ways. And certainly the Leagues Cup, you've got to keep Liga MX happy. There's going to be the challenge of dealing the Copa America. Don Garber said that they're not going to break for Copa America. They can't afford to. They really can't. And they're going to lose a lot of players because maybe not the U.S. team has a lot of MLS players, but Mexico has a little bit, Panama, Canada, if they qualify. Some of the other Central American teams do. Peru does. Paraguay does. Venezuela has a ton of MLS players. Uruguay has a couple. So that's going to be tricky. But the league has to take care of itself. It's not perfect. He alluded, Don Garber, to maybe an apertura clausura format because this is a problem that they're going to deal with in 2025 when they have more competitions with the Club World Cup and as well as which MLS will be participating, we know that, and also the Gold Cup. And then in 2026, the World Cup, which they're going to have to stop for. They will. So MLS is in a good spot. This was a great year. This was a great final. They got lucky with those two teams to make it. There is a player personnel boost, I think, in the offering. There's some very strong teams, good young players being developed. Messi's here for a couple more years. You got to squeeze the lemon on that. And then we move forward. But very good stuff. It's been great. It's been very fulfilling for me to be part of Major League Soccer. I love the people that are involved with this league and the clubs. And I look forward to being on the road again for 2024. And I love being the storyteller for LAFC. Every MLS club should have someone on staff like me to tell the stories of the team. We got to build, build, and build. But it was very good. Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast where all podcasts are available. Like and subscribe us here. Check out all the Soccer OG on YouTube under my name, Max Bretos. And we'll get ready for the back end of the year. We're almost done with 2023. Bring on 2024.